when you're dealing with less physical matter, such as a virus, which from an energetic point of view is just a code, okay? There are proteins involved here, a few lipids, and an RNA code. And I've never seen a virus actually respond to a person shifting their energy out of fear into something like gratitude, appreciation, or love so quickly. Welcome everybody to our weekly energy talk and daily sacred self life. My name is Jona Bryndis. I'm an energy healer and energy coach, and I'm going to guide you through these energetic aspects of our times here today, because I want to talk to you about whether or not one can out vibrate, raise one's vibration so high that one could possibly beat the virus being SARS-CoV-2, or even more precisely, the disease that comes with the infection that causes the symptoms. What are your guys' opinion about this? What do you think? I really want to hear from you. If there is something there that you are feeling, regardless of where you're standing with vaccines and all this, there is a reality here in our collective, and that was called pandemic, which already has had and will probably continue to have severe impact on our daily lives, on our work lives, on our relationships, perhaps even on our plans, our career plans maybe, or vacation plans. Where are you guys standing as this audience here, this random life audience, so that I get a little bit of a feeling? Tina Marie, you really think so? You really think that there is like a vibrational component to this virus? Do you guys believe that there is a vibrational component to everything, really? Any disease or any condition that one can have as a human?
Hi, Jona.
Hi there.
Cheryl from Canada.
Hi, Cheryl.
I believe that we can out-vibrate the virus. I think that everything is energy. Everything has a vibration. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that it would be easy, because it would take a lot of work, considering the amount of bombardment that comes through the media, etc., that's inviting us to think that death is imminent if you catch this, or so I think we're those people who choose to take personal responsibility, we're up against a lot, but I don't think it's impossible. I think it's like everything. It doesn't say that I wouldn't get the virus, but I could recover from it, and there's a multiple of ways that I could use to help. I could, my diet, supplements, exercise, meditation, a number of things. I think that it's totally possible to accept that if I got it, I have it, and now I move forward with the solution to that. Can we out-vibrate death in the end? Well, we never really die. The body might die, but the rest of us goes on. So I guess this is about a mindset and a dedication and a recognition that I am responsible for my own life, and I choose not to put that responsibility in the hands of others. And I think we can out-vibrate it. It's not to say that we won't get sick, but it is my responsibility to deal with it to the best of my responsibility. How able am I to respond? So I think yes, but I'm also saying that from someone who has, to the best of my knowledge, not contracted the virus. So if I did have it, I don't know I had it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Very well put. And Cheryl, your response is already showing all of us the complexity of what we're actually looking at when I ask such a question, which is very unspecified, right? You brought up like at least 5 different components or factors that play a role. Yeah. For example, whether or not you already had a COVID infection, whether or not you are able to see, like what is contributing to your general state of health. And when I say see what is contributing, I mean whether you're aware of this, right? I mean, you've mentioned nutrition, exercise, meditation. Yeah, this tells me that you are looking at yourself and your overall health and your immune system health as something very holistic. Okay, you said everything is energy, everything is basically vibration. Obviously, I agree with you. It's my tagline: everything is energy. Even though these things are sometimes in the invisible, you've mentioned in specific an invisible vibration by saying by mentioning the amount of bombardment that is out there. I am assuming that you are referring to the media, to the overall sort of controversy that we are finding, the confusion, the polarization in regards to this pandemic altogether, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. And then I heard you say things that had to do with responsibility. Your, like this combination of your ability and also seeing yourself as the one that has to respond. Yeah, a responsibility is seeing yourself as the one that has to respond. So what I hear you say is, like at least these 5 different components that make you say you believe that one can out-vibrate. The word out-vibrate really being something that isn't really clearly defined, but that basically indicates that you are seeing things from a more holistic perspective, and that you believe that it is possible through attitude, through self-care, self-love, self-awareness, and perhaps some action steps to set yourself above something. Please contradict if I misrepresented you here, but I think this is a very good sort of foundation to work with because we probably find ourselves in either of these statements, maybe not in all of them, but in many of them. For me as an energy healer, it is kind of yeah. So that's what I teach people, the fundamentals of self-healing and energy work, and to utilize them as part of seeing ourselves as human, not to exclude medicine or psychology or anything like that, but more so as an integrative an augmented perspective on health and vitality. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing this, Cheryl. We'll get to some of the techniques and what we actually can do in the specifics here in a few minutes. Mm-hmm. Yes, Kirsten is posting here, yes, I believe there is a vibration of energy of disease. Mm-hmm. Kirsten, if you talk to someone who practices homeopathy, a naturopath, or any practitioner who actually works with, basically vibrations, besides, energy healers, then you'll find a large body of work and research and so forth that has already been done there. And it is, in fact, even from a sort of physical science perspective, measurable. Yeah. As an ex-chemist, I can tell you that there is so much more than sort of the mainstream media or public actually realizes about anything that we come in contact with, seen or unseen, for as long as it's matter, it does actually produce some kind of vibration. Those can be different kinds of vibrations. Those can be sound waves. Those can be physical electromagnetic vibrations. Those can be acoustic vibrations, yeah, or light photon based vibrations, yeah. So if we call anything that has a frequency of some sorts of vibration, then we can literally state that everything that we define as matter, yeah, has a vibration. Now, here in energy healing, we are also addressing things that are in the invisible, meaning, the energy that I am sending out to a client that I have an energy healing session with is not based off matter, yeah, per se, like particles, although it can still be measured, but it measures something else, and that is basically the arrangement of energies in what we call fields. Magnetism is probably the closest to, sort of this image of a field, all right? And we all know this. We know what static fields feel like. We know what certain fields here, like electrical fields, what they can feel like, especially if we're energetically sensitive. So it's not all woo-woo that we're talking about here. I just wanted to point this out. I just wanted to establish sort of a fundamental lingo here amongst us so that we actually look at this in a more differentiated way. I don't just want to say, yes, you can out-vibrate everything, because it's not actually true, okay? Depending on the perspective that we have. There are many things that we can out-vibrate, and we can prove those. And then there are things that we out-vibrate that we cannot prove. And this is probably the gray area that we are in here. But let me continue reading your guys' comments. Tina Marie is commenting here, I would think our true self, so something in us, that there was something in us that could vibrate in, whether or not something is, or could vibrate in resonance with something that is true to us. You are referring to the work of Dr. Hawkins here, the calibrated map of consciousness. And these are numerical values that are being produced via kinesiology that can actually measure how a person's energy responds relative to what this person is holding in mind, what this person is aligning themselves to. I think, Cheryl, you mentioned something about mental attitude. That would be part of it, and we all are somewhat aware of the fact that, that when we have a very negative attitude towards something, that we are much more likely to attract it, kind of like in the sense of self-fulfilling prophecy, just not like as magical or fantastical, but in a sense that, our perspective determines our perception of things. And so as our perception is more aware to us, it can also become possible for us to respond better. Yeah, so Tina Marie, you are referring to the actual perception of something, and that you believe that it is possible for a person to test, to find out if something is true to them or not. Thank you. Justina is sharing, your purpose alignment meditation was beautiful. Oh, to start my day with. Thank you, Justina. We're going to get to this here in a minute. Every month I produce an alignment, an energy alignment that is adjusted to the energies of that particular month. That doesn't mean that we can't listen to it, at any other time, but they're specifically designed to do this for a person, namely to help a person's energy to tune into the frequency, the vibration that is needed to out-vibrate some of the challenges and adverse conditions of that particular month. Overall, all energy alignments, at least the ones that I produce that are all free on SoundCloud, raise a person's vibration. But sometimes it is, effective to go specifically with the one thing, or the sort of the theme of the month, because it allows our own energy to realize the feedback, the interaction a little better. It is always useful and recommendable to have a discipline or a technique or some kind of, or to cultivate some kind of inner attitude check and sort of reset or realignment. Probably the most common and practical examples for this is a prayer. A prayer is usually relatively high, or some of our prayers are actually very high in vibratory rate. And as they align ourselves to a higher power, they are basically activating this out vibration a mechanic in us, namely away from our personal vibration at that very moment to something that is higher. You could technically pray to a tree, and I don't mean this jokingly, this is actually true. If you feel really, really low, if you feel depressed or desperate, and you go to a tree and you become a tree hugger, so to speak, and pray to this tree, you are aligning yourself to a higher vibration than the one that you are in right now. And in energy healing, we define healing as something that increases the vibration relative to the previous state. So if we're very low, going out in nature can already be perceived as extremely healing. When we are already vibrating in this conscious sort of higher level of resonance, then going out in nature will still do this for us. It will remind us, it will, reconnect us, it will help us, to feel this confirmed. We can go into feedback, but there's so much more beyond that. We can start perceiving, different kinds of energies coming from different kinds of nature situations, and learn how to vision and tap into our inner guidance more. Yeah, but the same person that is healthy and vital and capable of holding their own higher vibratory alignment can, in moments of sickness, for example, or in moments of crisis, or even things like an emotional crisis, when you go through a breakup, or you lost your job and you're afraid of not being able to pay your bills, or something like this bombardment that we are experiencing through mainstream media right now, where there is a lot of really, really low vibratory energies around us. And I wanted to go through the list with you here. What is a high and low vibratory energy? How do we express higher vibes and lower vibes? Because there's, quite frankly, a lot of confusion about this. So even though I mentioned negativity earlier, this does not necessarily mean that sort of blind positivity or fake positivity, that is actually increasing the vibration of a person or a place. Yeah, so there's certain integrity and authenticity levels needed to actually raise the vibration of a place, a person, item, or room, virtual or physical, or a virus, like in this case here of our discussion. Cindy's sharing the inner turmoil about the virus and the vaccine are just as toxic as the actual virus. Yeah, I mean, this is a really good discussion point that you're bringing up here, considering that the virus itself is actually not a very deadly virus. And the fact that it has caught us by surprise, say, as an entire collective here, and that it's sort of ravaging through our 7 billion plus population all at once, that is scary. But the virus itself is actually not that scary, if you know its properties and if you know how to beat it. Yeah, it's not impossible, to disinfect and to reduce viral load and things like that. It's actually, compared to some other viruses out there, relatively easy with the SARS-CoV-2, but it is the turmoil about it, the lockdowns, the restrictions, the now also the shaming and the guilt tripping and the anger and the hatred and the overall sort of polarization around so many topics concerning this pandemic, that one must ask themselves what it actually is at this very moment that is making us sick. Yeah, if I look at statistics here in the United States and I look at 67% of the US Americans suffering in their mental health from this pandemic, I don't know if this is really referring to the virus itself, or more so, all the collective dynamics around this. And this is then really the part here that makes it even more complex, because at this point, many people are quite confused actually about what it is that they are fighting against. Yeah, and if you throw the political talk and the conspiracy talk and all that into the pot along with this, it has a very, very concerning effect on people, namely segregation and separation. Yeah, so I honestly don't know a single person who has the same opinion like I do, or who has the same information that I do. All right. Not to say that everybody I come in contact with disagrees or, shames me or anything like that. But not everybody I come in contact with agrees either. And I think it's almost impossible right now to agree on things, because quite frankly, there is not enough data. There is not enough experience. We simply don't know. And that is kind of like the part that is a little missing here for all of us. Nobody's actually truthful enough to say, well, guys, this is scary and we don't know. And what we're doing right now is we're trying our best. And this is where Cheryl's initial sharing comes in. If that was, openly said, which means that, yes, because we don't know, there are things that, we might not do so perfectly, or maybe we're making mistakes in the process. If that would be, expressed here publicly, say through our governments or even the pharmaceutical industry, I think it would be a lot easier for us to align together. But because it is so polarized, and it reminds many of us here who already have sort of a trauma conditioning with this, very strongly on gaslighting. So we have all these different components that we are up against right now. And quite frankly, there is no one answer or a simple solution to this, because what we are really experiencing here is what I would say the shadow aspect of our human nature. And that is when we are under a lot of stress and when we get into our survival mode, that we actually, tend to drop our higher consciousness, our higher awareness quite quickly, and that we go back to something that could probably only be called like a more devolved state. Yeah, dog eats dog, and we start attacking another. If you have dogs, and I don't mean to compare humans with dogs here now, but it's a behavioral thing that you can observe in a lot of mammals, especially herd pack animals, that when there's a lot of stressors, say extreme hunger or some kind of threat from the outside, that even the strong packs start, basically attacking, the pack members start attacking another. And that is pretty much what I see right now as the biggest or most important component that needs to be out vibrated. And that said, you guys here are proving this right now, not only because you come to this sort of voluntary random event where you express your willingness not only to share, but also actually to exchange with other people, where one can feel safe, where there is no attacking, no judging, and no guilt tripping, but where we come together here to, maybe reinstate or maintain our sanity, and raise our vibration together through meditation, through, self-healing work. So you guys are, just by watching this, just by coming here, and especially by sharing, already out vibrating, sort of the hardest part of this pandemic. Because, the biggest problem that I see as an energy healer and energy coach is this segregation, this separation, where we all feel left alone, where we all feel maybe we are the only ones that are experiencing this confusion or this attack or this bombardment. And this is why I usually start these daily sacred cells with, something along the lines, you're not alone. That's why the sharing together is so important. Serious sharing, and that's really cool. I exchange energy with trees, asking them to take negative from me, and after that, I receive energy from Mother Earth through them. That's, a very beautiful visualization, to actually go into communication, go into this exchange. Trees resonate on the level of truth, okay? And the Mother Earth resonates at an even higher consciousness level, which means that we are, definitely, especially if we have negative energies in us, aligning us to something that is, higher in vibes than ourselves. There is, however, Syria, and this is important for all of you to know, way more to this, because if you add the spiritual component to this view, not just the vibrational energetic component, because that's something you've heard me mention a few times, is actually quite limiting. When we add the spiritual component to this, we can see that there's much more than just energy and vibration, because energy and vibration reduces, say the planet, nature, humans, and consciousness to something measurable, to something physical or material. The spiritual component teaches us something else, namely that trees are not just, sort of vibrating matter that, have an okay vibe. They are also beings. They also exist in a spirit realm, so to speak, and inhabit sort of their own spirit. They have their own, I don't want to say soul, that would not be correct, but they have their own sort of spiritual expression. And when we interact with trees or anything in nature, this can also refer to animals or minerals, crystals and rocks and so forth. And we start seeing them as dynamic beings as well, then you must also put into account that we cannot just ask them to take all the negative stuff away from us. There needs to be an exchange, and we don't need to feel guilty about it, because for the most part, trees can take it. All right. There are some aspects of, what we see in the world right now with the Earth changes, or indications that the planet might not be able to take it, okay, to take our negativity. So a big part of out vibrating, guys, is to understand that energy is not just a one-way street. It is a two-way street. And when we begin to consciously vibrating higher and seeing ourselves to going consciously into exchange of energy, we need to understand that it doesn't just poof away. All right, so it's a two-way street. In other words, when we do this, we need to ask what this tree, in this example, needs in return. And for some of us nature lovers, tree huggers, it's actually, intuitive. We send our love to that tree. We love that tree. We admire the tree. We think it's beautiful, and we're grateful, and we appreciate the tree. And that is our currency, so to speak. That is what we're sending back to this tree in exchange. And what I wanted to say with this is that when we see this more as an exchange, we are getting closer to what is actually happening here in the unseen, in the energetic spiritual realm, namely a constant exchange. And once we begin to see energies like that and vibrations like that they don't just poof away, but that there is a sort of a consequence there on the other end of things, then we can probably also better understand collective energies and viruses. Yeah, and without going into any of the theories in spiritual sciences, but the point being here that if we can identify sort of the collective mindset as one of the most difficult or, like biggest problems that need to be out-vibrated, then we can understand what about the virus it actually is that needs to be targeted. This virus, I've never seen a virus respond to fear energy this strongly, and in reverse. Never seen a virus before. I coach people through their, diseases, their physical, emotional, mental, spiritual conditions. So, I work a lot with people's ailments and diseases. I've never seen a virus that responds so quickly to a person shifting their own energy in a positive way. I've never seen this. There is, always sort of this disclaimer as an energy healer where I have to say, look, guys, there are certain mechanical restrictions to things, right? If you have a bone fracture, energy healing isn't like it is in the movies. You hold your hand and then all of a sudden the bone is grown back together. Okay, there's a physical limitation as to how long it takes, for your cells to replicate and so forth. Okay, but when you're dealing with less physical matter, such as a virus, which from an energetic point of view is just a code. Okay, there are proteins involved here, a few lipids, and an RNA code. And I've never seen a virus actually respond to a person shifting their energy out of fear into something like gratitude, appreciation, or love so quickly. So I cannot make promises or cures here, but I can confirm to all of you who believe that it is possible to out-vibrate conditions and situations, interactions with people and places and diseases, that this is actually very, very possible. The only reason why our medicine hasn't really produced really good studies in regards to what they now call bioenergy is because people aren't really assessed based on their energetic or mental attitude or emotional state. The only clinics in the world that actually do this for, 1,000, 2,000 years are Ayurvedic clinics. They always inquire about a person's emotional state and their family situation and what is going on, and therefore produce data that is way more complex that allows to do these kind of studies to say, hey, a person who is in acute fear of death, who is suffering from lack of oxygen, who is literally seeing their body or their mind or whatever failing from one day to another, that would be sort of the most dangerous breeding ground for a virus like that. And then on the other hand, also the most fertile sort of case for energy healing or self-healing, going in and changing your own attitude about what it is that you are experiencing. And that said, again, you mentioned something that is that most of us have been somehow raised with, the one way or the other. Prayer is a very useful tool for that, but the most prayers actually include the externalization of that power to heal. And my tip for you as sort of conscious out vibrators, conscious self-healers here, is that you don't see it as asking somebody else to heal you, that you are addressing, your request to something that is higher than you, that is needed. So if you are an atheist and if you don't believe that there is anything out there that is sort of above your own, your own human pay grade, then that can't really work. But if you are understanding that there must be some kind of source or some kind of power that has brought you into existence, and you address it to that, or you start with a tree, a tree would vibrate much higher than the fear of dying, okay? Then you can already shift your energy into a place that might allow you within 24, 48 hours to out-vibrate your own condition. Yeah, this is tricky, of course, and requires a lot more understanding and detail discussion that I can't do with you here right now. I just wanted to inspire you guys to think of out vibrating something, and not so much just as a physical sort of electromagnetic kind of thing, but also as a spiritual thing that has to do with what you align yourself to. And it is really, really difficult when you are in survival mode to remember this, which is why I recommend that you practice and cultivate this every day, that you form a discipline, that you cultivate this to a degree that when you are in a moment of severe distress, that you sort of automatically go there and don't even have to think about it. And this is the reason why I'm starting a new program here, a public program that is free, namely daily energy prayers. Saturday will be the premiere every day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern US time. From now on, I'm going to do public prayers. People can send in prayer requests. We won't have time to have these kind of detailed talks every day, but I will continue doing this on Wednesdays, like I have been doing this here for the last year and a half, just on YouTube Live. And on Fridays, I will continue to do the energy update for the coming week after the energy prayers, which take roughly 20 minutes. Yes, Cindy is sharing she had to go into deep connection with her body and learn to trust that if I gave my best possible, that I gave it the best possible conditions, that it would take care of the rest. It cannot take care of everything, but it's a very smart approach to say, I might not be able to out-vibrate everything, but my chances are a lot higher if I take good care of my body, if I give my body the love and the care it deserves, if I drink enough water, if I eat lots and lots of fruits, preferably raw fruits and vegetables, if I exercise enough, if I keep myself in a state that is less susceptible Yeah, and there are, of course, a lot of things that are cruising around here within the Sacred Self-Healing community. Those are people who are member of this, sort of self-healing program here that I offer. I have done workshops about supplements, about things that one can use to support the body with, to help build para-immunity, or to reduce the viral load, or, to do early interventions, to prevent, like a severe or, sort of deathly experience of this disease. Okay, so there's a lot that can be done, and unfortunately, when it comes to social media and so forth, this is not even discussed enough, guys. So the main reason why I wanted to talk to you guys about this today is to shift your overall awareness away from being afraid of, the virus or the infection or the disease, to what can I do to not just, up my vibe, not just, in sort of a mental way, but in a very practical way, that you actually, put your body into a better position that allows it, or to support your body in a way that it can ward things off better, or that in case of an infection, that it can get through faster with less, symptoms, with less long-term consequences, all right? Without actually going into all these different techniques that we do that here within the Sacred Self-Healing community. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I will post with this video, I will post a slide that I have produced here for this community, where I went through some of the fundamentals of vibrational energies expressed through our behaviors, through our actions. They're also part of the forecast for September, which I just posted. And there you'll see that there are certain attitudes, okay, that have certain vibrations, and they're not in exact order here if you look at the chat, but somewhat, okay. And you got to understand that even when you are in a state of fatigue or in a state of nervous tension, even fear, that those are low vibratory energies that you are exposing your being to, okay. That is not so obvious for people when it comes to hate and rage and blame and so forth. It's more obvious that those are very low vibratory energies. But most people are not aware that, for instance, avoidance is a very low vibratory energy as well. It's very low, yeah. But even things such as noise, you being irritated by things and not doing anything about that. It's like basically where you allow things to lower your vibes that are actually also counting as lower vibratory energy. So you not doing anything about it. High vibrations are not necessarily, things that you would see in the New Age propagation here. Not to say that love and light isn't actually very high in vibratory rate. That is the case, but only if a person actually understands them in the right way. So it just sort of projecting light or love onto things is actually not very high in vibratory rate. You actually have to feel it. It has to come from within your heart. And my suggestion is that you start out with practicing simpler things such as generosity and gratitude, appreciation, telling other people that you appreciate them being in your life, saying thanks to the tree that helped you to, clear or ground, and sending things back, seeing yourself in this interaction, okay, love and compassion for all living beings, seeing beauty in a lot of things, and trusting in yourself. Body love, we just talked about, like really seeing your body as the vehicle that has to sort of carry all this through life. Forgiveness, self-forgiveness especially, reason and neutrality, to stay neutral about things, And if one can cultivate these kind of activities in their daily life, what happens then is that that you don't actually have to think. You don't have to scramble around, oh, what technique should I do, this and this. This isn't really about fancy energy work techniques, guys. This is about really understanding how energies work. Before we go into our inner experience, the experience part here of our daily sacred self, where we listen to the energy alignment for September together. Just a quick word here to those of you who are actually interested in bioresonances and biomedicine. The virus actually is measurable in its electromagnetic frequency. And there is research out there done at the MIT, which is very, very interesting, showing that this particular virus and also the individual variations, like say the Delta variant, for example, that they can be destroyed through vibrations. They get destroyed. It disrupts their functionality at 25 megahertz and 110 megahertz. That is the sort of the state of the art science today. All right. Now, the problem with that is do you know how to make yourself vibrate on 25 megahertz? No, you don't. And that's why you need these kind of reference points. If I align to true gratitude, to true respect and generosity towards other people, neutrality, and see myself as sort of part of the greater whole, all right, then you are already putting yourself into a place that produces a sort of lower susceptibility in you, not para-immunity, but it is something that, especially if you feel the early onset of a disease, and that counts for any disease really, that you can self-heal in this way without needing to know fancy energy work stuff. Okay. It does help though to have a good discipline of meditation and being okay with inner silence, knowing how to relax your body, doing breath work and so forth, because that is 110 serious. There's research out there from MIT. One of the researchers is called Buechler, Buechler. There's another one. I can post this here if you are interested, or email me. I can post you the study. It's very, very interesting. Also very cool visualization of the virus and its frequency. So yeah, it's important that we have that we're okay with inner silence, and that we don't chicken out when it comes to like daily meditation. Okay, I hear this all the time. Okay, that I don't have time. What are you saying? You don't have time to, to be with yourself for 5 minutes or 10 minutes? Studies are showing that 20-minute meditation every day reduces your reactivity. It shrinks your anxiety, your amygdala, calms your nervous system and reduces anxiety, guys, and ups the function of your immune system. All I can say is that if you are considering to find out what can help you in times of a pandemic, why don't you start there? Yeah, you start right there, because that's for free. You can do this. It takes 5 or 25, 20 minutes every day. Yes, even more times a day, even better. I don't want to go deeper into the frequency stuff, guys. That's all matter stuff. That's not actually conducive. Yeah, you can look up Schumann resonance, or you can look up all these things. But this is not the same as a spiritual healing. Okay, it has to do with it, and it helps us to wrap our minds around the fact that everything is energy, but there is different kinds of frequencies, different kinds of resonances. So it's best to align yourself to a feeling, not an emotion, to a feeling and attitude. Yeah, this is what, when we talk about the heart mind, what we're typically aligning ourselves to. Yeah, so I posted the link for the energy alignment for September here in the chat, and I need to ask you guys to start the music from your own phone or your computer here, because I can actually not accompany you in this meditation today. We have an ongoing transmission marathon, and I have to conduct an actual energy healing session here in a few minutes. I would like you to do this with another. I can leave my spread here on. Actually, I don't have to leave the camera on. You can just do this on your own. You can comment here after the alignment. Remember, it's specifically designed for what we need to energize this particular month. And if you are part of my email list, then you will receive the forecast for September today with a more specific list of antidotes and sort of energetic things to look out for in September. Yeah, please subscribe to my email list. And really important, if you want the free energy alignments every month, go to my follow my SoundCloud account where you can download those MP3s, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because there you're going to be able to do these energy talks with me starting on Saturday, Wednesdays the energy talk, and Fridays the energy update. So I'm not going to be on YouTube on Skype anymore starting next week. You're going to have to come to YouTube for that. It's a lot easier for people. Lovely. Thank you all. Have a wonderful experience or inner experience here of the synchronicity of purpose that aligns you to the challenges and opportunities and self-healing tasks of September 21. Bye-bye.